I see quite a few familiar faces out there, but there are a few people that I don't recognise, so I'll do a short introduction, very, very short. My name's Thompson. I've been working in USP for the last 5 years. I'm the Senior E-Learning Fellow. I work in the Faculty of Arts, Law and Education under the School of Education, and I work within USP to talk about how the faculty can use ICTs more effectively to teaching and learning, but I do a lot of work also with ministries of education around the Pacific, helping them develop strategies and policies and implementation programs of the use of ICTs. So that keeps me pretty busy. In between times I do a few odd things like talking about things like OERs and how we might adopt them more in the Pacific, and also see if we can develop some Pacific OERs. We're rather inundated with OERs from other places, and we're not doing a great job about making some of our own. So I think that's one of my passions now, is to try and talk about how we should do that. Not today, that's another issue to do. In some of the discussions we've been having with USP, and we've been talking a lot about OERs and what we should be doing about that. And we've concluded that I think an excellent way to move forward with OERs in USP is to talk about an open textbook initiative. And that's what I wanted to talk about this morning. So first of all, for those of you that are strange, actually I don't think anyone's a stranger to what an open textbook is. Of course I had to go to Wikipedia to get the definition, so there's the Wikipedia definition. I had to go to an open source to get that. I guess there's nothing new there. We probably won't talk a lot about copyright licenses, but Creative Commons is the thing that's driving a lot of this, and it's a very important initiative around the globe to change the perception of copyright issues, and particularly in education. I think it's very powerful. So what we're going to do with open textbooks now is that we're going to introduce a phased approach to changing out all of the textbooks that we have in USP that we use in all our courses and making them open textbooks. So this is a decision that's been taken by the Senior Management Committee, the Senior Management team. We developed a proposal for them. Professor Cole presented it to the Senior Management team, and the Senior Management team agreed on that proposal. So this is what the Senior Management team have agreed to. They're saying that it's timely for us to become more strategic in our use of OERs. We wanted to look at open textbooks as a way of moving forward in a strategic way, rather than being ad hoc as we have been. We're going to introduce a phased mandatory approach. So it's very similar to the way that we've driven the taking courses online. We might have learnt a little bit about how we did it going online, and we'll try and apply some of those lessons to this particular project as well. We know that we need to give support to the lecturers to do this, so we'll put together a training program and a support program to help lecturers go through the process of adapting open textbooks. We'll provide some expert assistance, and CFL is the centre of expert here. They are the ones that know all about that. So as they've done in the past, they'll be assisting the university in doing this. And we will try and develop a framework and a template, because we're rather keen to say that as we introduce open textbooks, we'll take the opportunity to introduce new pedagogies and new enabling ways of teaching and learning. So we don't want to just say, well, we used to have this textbook, now we've got this one, and that's all we're going to do. It's an opportunity for us now to drive development in pedagogy. The Commonwealth of Learning, we've had some discussions with them. Of course, they're a great champion of open learning, and they're a co-sponsor with UNESCO of the Open Education Week. So they've agreed to support us in this process. And we will now develop a team working with CFL and faculties that we will now start this initiative. And so today is about saying, we're starting, guys. I guess there's a question about why do this, and particularly why do this now? So we had a little bit of discussion about that, and with the senior management team as well. We've received a lot of feedback from around the various campuses, and probably more in campuses outside of Fiji than inside Fiji, where the students are saying the high cost of textbooks makes them unaffordable and unavailable to us. and they don't have access to library resources, so it's very difficult for them to get these things. And that's backed by international research as well that shows that the high cost of textbooks is impacting the learning process of the students. So there's an issue there about cost, I think, in particular. As always, anything we do in USP has to link to our strategic plan. So there's quite clear links to at least 5 key elements in our strategic plan to say this is why we're doing it, it's part of our strategic plan. One of the key ones there is about providing a leadership role for the rest of the region. So adopting OERs in this way will set a benchmark, a goal for other universities and other tertiary learning institutions to follow. We've had some discussions with the Student Association, so we've talked about this. We've shown them the Senior Management Team agreement. We're having some discussions with them and they're saying, yes, in principle we want to go ahead. We're talking about how we might implement that and where the priorities are and everything. So they've been very, very supportive of this as well. In the open textbook world, we're finding more and more textbooks becoming available all the time. And these are improving in quality as well. I think the first batch were pretty much, just say average quality, but now we're seeing lots of high quality stuff supported by well-renowned universities. So we're able to tap into a great resource here now to use open textbooks. We've seen a number of high-profile universities developing centres of open learning, and associated with those centres of open learning are open textbooks and open resources as well. So we can tap into a whole world of things there. So what are we going to do? And I guess this is the crux of why I'm talking today, so that you understand and are able to help us move forward here. We're going to develop a relatively small team of people. So we'll have some people from CFL. I'll be helping out in some way, and we'll get other people that may be champions within the university to come into this team and really basically develop a program to go ahead and do this. So we'll have a staff training program and a support program for staff, most likely centred here in CFL. We will have an M&E plan because we want to see if we use open textbooks, are there any issues that are coming out from that? Does it do what we want to do? Sorry, measurement and evaluation. It's M&E, sorry. So we really want to see what the impact of doing this is. So we don't want to just do it and hope for the best. We've talked about establishing a reward scheme because this is extra work for lecturers to do. Not quite sure what that's going to look like, but there will be some incentive for lecturers to convert their courses to open learning, open education, sorry, open textbooks, sorry. We will start with what we call low-hanging fruit. So those things that we can do easily, we will do and get this thing moving. But our focus is to get towards the more senior advanced studies and the more expensive textbooks. They're harder to do, so we will start with the low-hanging fruit and then we'll move into these areas here, so getting the impact of reducing the cost of these textbooks. For those of you that are not really familiar with open textbooks, there's heaps of stuff out there. Mr. Google is a very good provider of information about open textbooks, but just I mentioned a few. There are a number of open textbook libraries and centres of open education. We used an example, the University of British Columbia. They've converted everything to open learning there. All of their textbooks are open now. So we could just go there and grab their textbooks. The University of Southern Queensland is having a different approach. They're introducing it more gradually, but they're going down this path as well. So we can draw on those sorts of experiences. There is an open textbook network, so people that are interested in open textbooks can network together. There's a Facebook page. You can get in there and talk about open textbooks and ask questions and share experiences and things like that. We have in New Zealand the the OER University. And this has been established by Commonwealth of Learning, but basically they're producing full courseware for a range of different topics. So you can then go to the OER University and take their courseware as a package, adapt it if you like, but they will also provide certification so that when you teach this course, you can award credits that are internationally recognised. So there's a lot of resources coming there. We've also got our own library, and Elizabeth will be speaking in a minute, but they've got done a lot of work on open education resources as well. They've got links to those places. And as Sol mentioned earlier, the OER portal that DFL are putting together. So I just wanted to show that as a list of things to say there is no shortage of material to select from. It's becoming a much more acceptable way of using textbooks now, and I think it's timely for us to move forward. So I guess we've got a little bit of time here, have we, Sam?
You know, what I was thinking of doing was, let's go through the presentation very quickly, and as I see that Val has got a discussion, a 12 o'clock discussion of way forward for OE enhancement. And I was thinking, okay, I'm going to make some changes, Val. I'm going to get the speakers out in the front. Yeah. And then you can ask questions of the speakers, and the speakers can then reflect on where we should be going next, right? Otherwise, you know, we've got to be waffling around. So let's hold the question till later. Okay. Let's go through the presentation. I'll pull you back, and then we have a panel session, right? Okay?
This is called flexible learning, isn't it? Okay, thank you very much.